Silksong is a wake-up call. I just got done watching the Warframe is a wake-up call not too long ago. Video up on the YouTube channel.
Silksong is a wake-up call. One of the most anticipated games of all time, a follow-up to one of the most beloved indie titles of all time. A game developed by just 3 people. Instead of these guys just running in to go cash the next check, they took their time. They poured their soul into it. And instead of them trying to squeeze the players for all they're worth, they turn around and they charge them $20 for it.
That's fucking crazy. Guys, in a day where we have Nintendo, go step on a Lego, Nintendo. I don't care. I hate Nintendo with all my guts. I really do. Will I take a sponsor from Nintendo? I love Pokemon. I grew up with Nintendo. Yes, I will. Do I hate Nintendo? Damn straight I do. I'm sorry. Dog, if y'all ever like dissolve as a company, no tears will be shed for you. I'm just being honest. All right. Will I be sad for the studios in Nintendo? Yes. And I hope another company picks them up. But I personally have no attachment to Nintendo. I really don't. I love their games. I love the devs, but the company itself, not a fan. But in an era where Nintendo is dropping $90 games, $80 games, where the standard price has gone over the last 10 years from 45 to 50 to 60 to now 70 to 90. We got Silksong being released as a standalone game for $20. Oh, what's that? It doesn't have a AAA budget? How about Expedition 33 now being in talks for being Game of the Year for $45? Bro, this is a new era for these studios, and I am so happy with this because I really think it's going to be, as he says, a wake-up call.
Imagine that. For all their check, they took their time. They poured their soul into it. And instead of them trying to squeeze the players for all they're worth, they turn around and they charge them $20 for it. Imagine that. What they would then deliver is something that is not only content rich, but is nothing short of a masterpiece. I always try to find at least one word to put to some of these games, and for Silksong, it's ethereal. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's just out of grasp for whatever reason. There's so many elements that are singing together in perfect harmony, and the game is so beautiful and haunting and delicate, yet hard as nails, but more than anything, it's just fun. That's a lot of value, especially for that price. And in most cases, we'd be celebrating it, but right now, we have developers, journalists, analysts that are gaslighting the developers of the game, making them feel like they need to be responsible for the rest of the industry.
Dude, I know what he's talking about. Did y'all see the fucking audacity of these other developers and these other journalists saying that because Silksong priced it at $20, they are going to make gamers be, what was the word? Delusional or something like that? About what the correct price should be for the industry. Silksong price is hurting the industry. The fucking audacity. The audacity, dog. You know what's the reality of what should be said? Silksong being priced at $20, Expedition 33 being priced at $45 is a wake-up call that so many of these other game companies, these other teams that, and I promise you it's not the devs. It's not the devs. Some of them are the devs, but most of them, it's the finance and legal teams that are pricing these games at such a high price. That way they maintain their nice, big, thick, big piece of the pie, those good profit margins, right? Meanwhile, you got Silksong and Expedition 33 being like, yeah, no, we want it to be affordable so everyone else can get the game and make it be a banger game. Because at the end of the day, if the game is priced well and it's a banger game, unironically, what's going to end up happening is even though your profit margins aren't that high, you don't have a 30% profit margins and you only have a 10%, guess what? If you make millions upon millions of sales, that doesn't matter. It matches the big profit margins. If these companies would only realize that they're losing money, a crazy fucking concept, they're losing money by making the games be higher price, in that if they just made it more affordable while also making sure the game was a banger, they unironically would make more sales to make up for the low profit margins. But no, they don't want to admit that, because then what that means is they can't cut corners. And that scares the industry, because this industry, the gaming industry, wants to cut corners. They do. Like, that's the normal, it brings them more money if they can cut corners in any fashion or form, you know? Silksong's $20 tag could hurt the indie scene, but only if devs let price anxiety win. It's a real title, by the way. That's crazy.
Saying that they should have given them more time. They should have given them heads up. They should have given them early access. Oh, and by the way, you're charging too little for that game. It's setting the wrong standard for the rest of us.
Bro.
They owe you nothing. It goes to show just how little we matter as customers in this industry, just how entitled and fragile this industry has become, because they have completely forgotten that the only relationship that matters is the one between the customer and the developer. Everything else is an afterthought.
That's it. Mic drop. Nothing else needs to be said. That's all that matters, bro. That's it. We've gone from back in the day where devs, and I don't mean just devs of some companies, like Final Fantasy XIV, Yoshida-san, one of my goats, right? I'm not talking about Space Mama from Warframe, who I've just learned about recently in Warframe as a wake-up call video. Base dev, right? That interacts with the community. We used to go from these devs interacting with the community and geeking out about their creations on social media to selling games at a cheaper price to make it more accessible while also having a quality game to, bro, it's all corporatized now. And not everybody, like E33 is an exception, you know, Silksong is an exception, Warframe apparently is an exception, and Final Fantasy XIV, at least from the last time I've played it, which was about 2 years ago, was an exception, right? Dude, it used to not be so corporatized. Now it is, where, have you noticed game companies don't even interact with their community on Twitter anymore? Or on YouTube comments like they used to? Like on average? While also increasing the prices to like 80 to 90 bucks. Like, hey, apparently, one game wants to be $100 if you've seen the rumors for that. Like, it's crazy how much has changed with these corpos taking away the soul of the gaming industry, which is, bro, it's just devs trying to make fun games for fellow gamers.
Today, what I want to do is I want to talk about the success of Silksong. I want to talk about my experience playing the game. I want to talk about how it set the industry on fire and why developers, for whatever.
But I would also like to call myself out. I absolutely fucking know nothing about Hollow Knight. I recently reacted to another Hollow Knight video on the YouTube channel, but that's like everything I know about it. I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know it was that huge. I'm only just now learning about, whoa, this game is crazy.
Reason can't see what this game is doing for them.
That.
Because they can't see past themselves. Silksong has always been something of a myth, a game that people hoped would release, but as the years drug on, many of us questioned if it even existed at all. It became the GTA 6 or the Bloodborne 2 of the indie game scene, a name that people would chant at every showcase, half joking, but mostly half praying. The first game, Hollow Knight, was developed by a core team of just 3 people, and it released in 2017. This game was an instant hit. Its haunting world, hand-drawn art, and soundtrack spread.
Oh shit, wait, the art is hand-drawn? That's cool. Wait, that's actually really sick. I didn't know that.
Like wildfire, selling almost 3 million units in the first 2 years. So it was no surprise when 2 years later, Team Cherry announced that they were already working on a sequel. In 2019, they dropped a trailer and a developer diary revealing that Silksong had started as a DLC before evolving into a full-blown standalone title. And then after that, silence. 7 years of it. Occasionally, you'd hear a sighting of Team Cherry at a conference, but there was nothing concrete. Without that, though, the hype never died. In fact, it actually just spurred the success of the original, pushing it to sell another 12 million units over the course of 7 years.
Dude.
Finally, in early 2025, during the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2, it appeared just out of nowhere. Just a few seconds of footage dropped in the middle of a bunch of other trailers without any fanfare or any words or any announcement whatsoever, with a release window that said it was coming later this year. Months of speculation then followed, but then at Gamescom, Team Cherry made it official. Silksong was launching on September 4th, just 2 weeks away.
Crazy.
In the 2 weeks leading up to Silksong's launch, Hollow Knight exploded on Steam. It shattered its old concurrent player record of 20,000 players, surging up to nearly 100,000 players as fans prepped for the sequel. And then when Silksong finally released, it blew past everything. Over 500,000 concurrent players at launch, peaking at 587,000 players. The demand was so massive that it did something that I've never seen before.
Holy fuck.
It broke the industry. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, Steam. Nearly every digital store buckled under the weight of people trying to download the game. Gamealytics has already estimated that the game has sold 2.7 million copies on Steam alone. And
I'm sorry. What? Holy fuck. Oh shit. Whoa, 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 whoa. 2.7 million copies sold on Steam alone. Guys, that's like 40 to 80 million from Steam alone. Holy shit. That is crazy. That is fucking
With consoles
wild.
included, it's entirely possible that this game has already sold over 5 million copies in just the first week. I have not been able to pull myself away from this game, which is insane because
Bro, you got pirates encouraging gamers to buy the game.
it dropped right in the middle of a Helldivers 2 update, Path of Exile 2 content, and a flood of other releases. But Silksong just has that pull. There are very few games at launch where you can feel the passion of the developers baked into every detail. What is the best way I could describe this? Maybe you guys are going to be able to understand this. It's like walking into one of those historical houses that are like hundreds of years old. You can smell the wood. You can see the wear on the floors. You can feel the history pressed into every corner. You can...
Oh, wait, he cooked with that script writing. Oh, shit. Yo, wait, that's real.
Guys are going to be able to understand this. It's like walking into one of those historical houses that are like hundreds of years old. You can smell the wood. You can see the wear on the floors. You can feel the history pressed into every corner. You can see the soul.
I'm not gonna lie to you. This dude just sold me on the game. Maybe we do a Hollow Knight. This dude's glazing the game in ways that I didn't know it could be.
That walk these halls. Silksong feels that way. It feels like these developers didn't just make a game. They are the game. I get lost.
Okay, but if we do a Hollow Knight playthrough, we have to do a Hollow Knight before Silksong to do it justice.
Lost in all of the backgrounds, caught in the tiny details, captivated by the dialogue. I've even died to bosses because I was so distracted to listening to the music that they had in the background. That's how good this game is. The game makes you feel so small and makes the world feel so endless, from the rotting docks to the volcanic forges to the moss-covered caverns. It's just a feast for the eyes. Anytime that I argue that fidelity doesn't matter or it doesn't even compare to artistry, this is the example I'm...
Holy fuck, this dude is writing bars. Fidelity doesn't even compare to artistry. Yes. God damn, bro. Okay, bars on bars. Good Lord. Yes, I love that.
I argue that fidelity doesn't matter or it doesn't even compare to artistry. This is the...
A banger graphic game does not beat out a banger game. At its core, a banger game is everything, dude.
The example I'm going to use. This is what I want to see. I love games that don't force you down a narrow path. If you want to chase the narrative, you can. If you'd rather just lose yourself in the gameplay, that works too. At first, I was zipping through dialogue. I just wanted to fight, explore, and move around. And then something shifted. Maybe it's because I got a lesson taught to me by some of the bosses. Maybe it was just the freedom of exploration kind of getting to me and slowing me down a little bit. But I slowed down as a result. I began listening to every character, reading every note, piecing together everything in the world, not just for lore, but for my own survival. NPCs were giving me hints, quests, upgrades, secrets. Everything felt like it was perfectly intertwined.
Okay, so it's like not linear at all, is what it sounds like. Like you can just pop into any nook and cranny, and sometimes you just get led down this pipeline of, oh shit, this connects to that and this connects to that. What the fuck, random upgrade? It's like, that's cool. Wait, I can use this random upgrade to like go back to an old level that I've been to get access to this place? Is that kind of like what he's saying?
Give me hints, quests, upgrades, secrets. Everything felt like it was perfectly intertwined. Now, I've seen the complaints about difficulty and balance. Personally, I haven't had much of an issue with it. Don't get me wrong, the game is definitely brutal. I've died more times than I can count, but I never felt stuck. There wasn't a boss that made me feel like I couldn't beat it for whatever reason. If I ever hit a...
Bro, what in the fuck of coordinate? Oh, this looks scary, bro. I'm not going. This looks cool as fuck, though. I hate platformers. I'm gonna be real with you. And the only reason why I do is because I'm ass at them, right? But unironically, this looks cool. Which is odd, because usually I don't like platformers, but the idea of needing to, because it looks like he's jumping and then like directionally attacking the part of the floor to make him bounce off, right? That is a sick method of platforming.
I can count, but I never felt
like that feels cool.
Stuck. There wasn't a boss that made me feel like I couldn't beat it for whatever reason. If I ever hit a wall, I just assumed that I was missing a skill or an upgrade. I'd go searching, and sure enough, I'd be able to find what I was looking for. The combat just feels so good in your hands. You can't help but want to keep fighting things. And the only thing that ever really threw me off early in the game was being able to pogo off enemy attacks because all of your attacks were diagonal from the air. But once I found the Wanderer's Crest, I could use the classic Hollow Knight moveset, and then after that, it all clicked. But man, the sheer amount of content here is just insane. The bosses, secrets, branching paths, upgrades, character builds, it just doesn't stop. People say that the game will take you about 15.
Wait, you have different character builds? So you saying two Silksong players can have... Wait, I didn't know that. Or like two Hollow Knight players can have two completely different ways of fighting. Is that right? Or is it just like you all end up getting the same upgrades? No, really? You can collect different charms and you can make your... Oh, that's fucking cool.
Hours to beat.
Wait,
I've heard that there's a whole extra area that you can find if you complete all of the quests. For me, it's probably going to take me closer to 30 hours because I've been sipping this game like a fine wine, appreciating every minute of it. And that's what blows my mind. A game this anticipated, this content rich, living up to expectations, and it's only $20. What a slap in the face of an industry that's been begging for games to go to $100 or more. And while we may be lost in a beautiful game, the rest of the industry has proceeded to lose its damn mind. Some of the first articles that I saw about the game before its release weren't even celebrating its arrival. It was games journalists that were whining that Team Cherry didn't...
Why there'll be no what? Hold on, wait a minute.
Game before its release weren't even celebrating its arrival. It was games journalists that...
Why there'll be no Hollow Knight Silksong review from us today? You're fucking lying. Wait.
Were whining that Team Cherry didn't hand out review copies. The game...
Are you... The audacity. Dog. Ain't no way that you're gonna be underhanded and like seething about the fact that you're playing the game at the same time as everybody else. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think there's nothing wrong with sending out a review copy. But why are you mad that nobody got a review copy? You know what I mean? It's one thing if like journalists didn't get it, but then like random gamers did. But like nobody got a review copy. So like, why are you mad?
Lose its damn mind. Some of the first articles that I saw about the game before its release weren't even celebrating its arrival. It was games journalists that were whining that Team Cherry didn't hand out review copies. The gamer actually wrote, "It's an extremely short period between release date reveal and launch." And one of my first thoughts upon seeing the release date was, what about the poor critics that will have to cram it to get their reviews out on time?
That's crazy. That's wild. That tells me everything I need to know about you. That told me everything. Listen, as a creator, I'm known for a lot of things, okay? One thing that I am known for, though, that a lot of people are annoyed by, even from my community, but some people do enjoy and appreciate, is for better and worse. Bro, I don't rush my content. I don't. I admit it. I'm the slowest motherfucker. I delay. I'm not on time. I don't finish a game when I say I'll finish it. I admit it. I'm learning how to improve on that, and I'm getting better about it, right? But I don't rush shit. I don't rush shit ever. I don't care. Respectfully, I don't like to rush a game or rush a video, and then it feels inauthentic. It feels like I'm just doing it to get it the fuck out, like for the quick buck or for the quick view. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, I should have started playing Hollow Knight like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago if I wanted to min-max the views, right? Where's Hollow Knight? You know what I'm saying? Like, and don't get me wrong. On the flip side, the frustrating part about that, though, is like, bro, I still haven't finished that one game that I said I would finish. And there's a lot of them. We got a whole list in our community. And that's my bad, and I'm working on it. I'm getting better about it. But, bro, I hate that, like, some people, it really is just about rushing to get it out just so that they can maximize the views, when it should be you're working hard to get the best review out there. You know what I mean? Like, why is it that the narrative has changed from, we got to get the fucking video out, come on, to like, bro, what about like crafting a video that gives a proper review, you know, or doing a playthrough that's not you trying to speed everything to the final boss just to say that you finished it on time to maximize. That's sad, bro. that that's the case. You know what I mean? It really is. There's gotta be like some semblance of genuine enjoyment. You know? Stares at the 11-hour VOD of fighting the Elden Ring elite enemy with a stick. Yeah, we know.
Time. Jason Schreier actually talked about how he spoke with Team Cherry, and they told him flat out that they didn't give out review copies because they felt it would be unfair for critics to be able to play the game before Kickstarters. Remember that this game was on Kickstarter, funded by fans before Hollow Knight ever became a phenomenon.
I'm sorry, what?
Remember that this game was on. It would be unfair for
Yeah, bro. That's a valid point. Why should someone that didn't fund the game get faster access to the game than the person that funded? Why does that make any... Dog!
Critics to be able to play the game before Kickstarters. Remember that this game was on Kickstarter, funded by fans before Hollow Knight ever became a phenomenon.
Wait, that's so... Okay, sold. We'll Hollow Knight playthrough. Guaranteed. I won't promise I'll finish it. Only if I like the game, I'll finish it, okay? But we'll try it out. That sold me. I didn't know that. I didn't realize the whole game was a Kickstarter fucking project. And maybe I was told that and I just forgot, but...
Remember that this game was on Kickstarter, funded by fans before Hollow
What the fuck?
Knight ever became a phenomenon that it is today. And how did the people respond to that? Well, they responded with lines like, I hope it was more than this. Because not giving reviewers codes because it would be unfair sounds like a weird reason to me.
Dude.
Excuse me? No. You know what's weird? Weird is Games Press thinking that developers owe them anything at all. What's weird is pretending like their deadlines and reviews matter more than the people who actually paid for these games to exist. The only people that Team Cherry owes are their fans, the people who actually backed them before anybody knew who they were, the players who kept the flame alive for 7 years, the players who are actually buying the game right now.
Facts.
And yet here comes the media clutching their pearls, crying that they weren't given any special treatment, as if their suffering is having to play the same game as everyone else at the same time as everyone else. Imagine the arrogance it takes to be able to frame that as some kind of injustice. I am so done with this entitlement. Critics did not sell 15 million.
I'm sorry, I have ADHD. I don't know why this level reminds me of that one level in Super Smash Bros. When you're playing as like, I think it's Meta Knight. And there's like this elevator that you gotta like get out of before it speeds up and smashes you into the wall.
Frame that as some kind of time as everyone else.
Right there.
Imagine the arrogance it takes to be able to frame that as some kind of injustice. I am so done with this entitlement. Critics did not sell 15 million copies of Hollow Knight. Critics did not keep the Silksong hype alive when it was silent for 7 years. Players did that. Fans did that. The community did that. And
from Brawl, yes, dude, real talk, Super Smash Bros. Brawl was one of my favorite games of all time. I think my relationship with my brother is as good as it is because of that game. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, that was a generational game for me, dude.
The fact that the media still has the gall to act like they're the priority in this situation is exactly why nobody trusts them anymore. Now, if you guys thought that the entitlement would stop with review copies, well, you'd be wrong, because whether it's indie or AAA, there's been a full-on meltdown over the short window between the announcement and release and the fact that the game only cost 20 bucks. Developers have actually claimed that Team Cherry has a responsibility to warn other indies so they could get out of their way, and that pricing Silksong at $20 sets an unfair standard for everyone else. One sympathizer on Blue Sky wrote, Team Cherry absolutely had a responsibility of giving a heads up about the release of Silksong, accommodating other indie developers in regards to it. Art isn't made in a vacuum, and as indie devs, they absolutely should know how hard it is for
happened to like just having fucking fun with the things you make and then releasing it? Like, why is this even a fucking comment? What?
Other indies to be visible. Another indie developer tweeted out, as an indie dev making a smaller Metroidvania than...
Yeah, we had like 5 indie game companies postpone their updates and and releases as an honor to Silksong. Yeah, like, yeah, you know what I mean?
In Silksong, which I originally had thought would be fairly priced at $20. What should I price it at now? It'll be 10 to 15 hours of game, but it was made by one person with limited dev time and funds. I can't afford to give it away for free.
Bro, that's fucking sad. I'm gonna be real with you. That's just sad. I'm not even annoyed at that. It's just sad that, like, yeah, that's so sad.
It was made by one person with limited dev time and funds. I can't afford to give it away for free. This tweet caused a storm of articles and responses from other developers. One response read, "This is a fair statement, and quite honestly, Team Cherry does a disservice to the industry." And
oh, wow, that's crazy, bro. Holy shit. A disservice to the corporate industry, maybe. Brother. They're doing a disservice to people caring about their fucking profit margins, sure, but they're doing a service to the people that actually fucking matter in this industry, which are the gamers, the consumers. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, the fucking people that helped fund the game. Like, what? Huh? Dog.
other developers pricing Silksong so low, the level of work, craftsmanship, years, and you only charge $20, I get being pro-consumer, but it would be infuriating to peers. Another would take things even further on Blue Sky, saying that Silksong should have cost $40, and I'm not even joking. I won't go as far to say that it's a bad thing that it doesn't, but it will have effects, and not all of those effects will be good. Like, I personally...
I'm gonna be real with you, I do think Silksong could have been priced at 40. Hot take. I do think it could have been priced at 40, and I think it would have been deserved, in my opinion. It's that good, in my opinion, right? But I don't agree with it will have an effect, and not all of those effects are good. Bro, what? Huh? The effect it will have is maybe it will make game companies admit that they're pricing their games too high. The effect it will have is maybe it will make people realize that they're paying extra because of the fucking legal and finance teams behind these companies. Not because you know what I mean? Like, bro.
Doesn't, but it will have effects, and not all of those effects will be good. Like, I personally am glad that it's so cheap. For me, it makes picking it up a no-brainer. The problem is that the gamer is a creature that is very bad at knowing why things cost what they do.
Yeah, so what the fuck is wrong with Silksong pricing it at $20 so that the gamer has more accessibility to play the game?
God, how many times do we have to hear this? Millions of people will probably buy.
Bro, you know what this reminds me of? I gotta make a video on this because I never deep dove into this and I never researched it. This reminds me of the VTubing industry. Now, before the VTuber fans crucify me, I know jack shit about VTubing. Hold on, let me finish my statement. Don't fucking assassinate me in my sleep. Hold on, just give me a minute, okay, before you kill me. This reminds me of the VTubing space, right? There was this coder in the VTubing space that created a character customizer, right? That anyone could download. I think Amod, was it for like $10 or $20? Anyone could download, right? And you can customize and create your own V2 model for $20. And she made like a custom character customizer on the VTuber software so you can have your own original V2 model for $20. Rigged and everything for $20. And she got hate for it. The Suica model, yes, bro. And she got hate for it. I was like, dog, what? How are you hating on someone that made a content creation space more accessible for everybody? How is this hurting you? Like, what? People hated her for it. And you know why they hated her for it? Because they said that she was going to get rid of the business for VTube artists and riggers everywhere. And this wasn't all artists and riggers, by the way. This was just a very angry few, right? But yeah, like that they didn't like how easily accessible they made VTubing for everybody and how any person, if they wanted to, could buy this thing for $20, customize their own original V2 model, right? and be able to have their own experience of having a model and building a community and sharing what they love, which is, I don't know, maybe video games or art or geeking out about really cool music with other people online, which is the original purpose for why us people created these online spaces in the first place. But bringing the overall cost down for the average individual is a bad thing. Like, dude, what? Huh? You know, like this reminds me of that, which is like, there's nothing bad with someone just wanting to share a piece of work, hell, maybe even for free. You know what I mean? Just to connect and share something that you love with another individual on the internet. Why does everything have to have the premium price tag?
Buy Silksong on day one, and it was a game that had a very low budget because the budget is these developers worked on it without direct pay for however long that they wanted to. It had these developers are independently wealthy budget of effectively $0. All this industry does is coddle one another's fragility, excuse every failure as somebody else's fault, and twist accountability into something that is optional. Team Cherry has no responsibility to anyone other than the people that are buying their game, and it's telling how many of these people cannot see past themselves to realize that's exactly why Silksong is so successful. What utopia do you live in where you think they have the responsibility of safeguarding the entire indie industry? How far gone do you have to be to twist them into the independently rich villain with some unfair advantage just because their last game was successful? And man, does it say everything when you would rather insult the players as the gamers that are undereducated, unrealistic, and ignorant of the process and the money instead of just admitting the truth.
Yeah, you know, I might get heat for saying this. There's a saying I say a lot as a content creator with viewers. I might get cooked for this, but let me finish, okay? And hear me out with what I'm saying. There's a saying that it's a core belief in the content that I make. It's a core belief in the content that I make. And it's a core belief in the content that I see be successful across the internet. And it's viewers don't always know what they want. There's a second part to this statement, but that first part is viewers don't always know what they want. And that's a fact. I'll argue with that with anyone, right? And before you kill me, let me give you the second part to that statement, okay? But they can always smell bullshit. In my experience, viewers don't always know what they want. Sometimes they come across a video game, an art piece, a video, and they're like, holy fuck, I didn't even know I would like this. But goddamn, is this a fucking masterpiece, right? But the one thing that they do always know is bullshit. Especially in today's age where we went from 2012 to 2016 YouTube era, where all of YouTube during that time was nothing but clickbait because clickbait was massively successful. And we went from that space to now clickbait is nowhere near as effective as it used to be because the viewer, the gamer, is now wisening up. They've now built that innate sense to detect bullshit when bullshit is being presented to them, right? And sometimes it's not always right, but they're 9 times out of 10 correct about it, right? Again, viewers don't always know what they want, but they do know bullshit. And I say that to go with this, where it's like, it's crazy how they are trying to twist Team Cherry to be these ultimate fucking villains, when at the end of the day, it's the gamers worldwide that have agreed that Team Cherry and Hollow Knight and now Silksong deserves the success that they have. And if they are saying another game that is priced higher doesn't deserve that success, their bullshit radar went off. Maybe it doesn't. You don't get to dictate another person's enjoyment. I could spend thousands of hours on a video. And if you guys don't like it, that just means you guys didn't like it. I'm not supposed to force you to like something you don't like. Why are we in an industry where these people, these corporations believe that they have the audacity to dictate what should be enjoyed at a certain price value?
Independently rich villain with some unfair advantage just because their last game was successful. And man, does it say everything when you would rather insult the players as the gamers that are undereducated, unrealistic, and ignorant of the process and the money instead of just admitting the truth? I can't believe
Sorry, guys. My headphones was blasting on the mic. My bad.
the sheer lack of self-awareness from these people, especially the guy that comes forward and says that I'm personally glad that the game is $20. It makes it a no-brainer for me to pick it up, but it's still a bad thing. It's going to have a ton of bad effects. How do you not realize that's the point?
That's the point. In an age where inflation is at an all-time high across so many damn fucking countries, that's the point, bro. The point is so that we can bring things down across the board, because that would be good. Yeah, if we bring everything down to $20, guess what? The profit margins ain't high, but you know what else that means? The good games will be massively successful and the bad games won't. And the bad games will stop making money right out the gate. Because right now they make a shit ton of money. Because right now, without someone making the sacrifice and biting the bullet, they're spending $60 to $100 to realize whether or not they like the game. And then they're like, fuck, I didn't like the game. I just wasted $60 to $100, right? Versus now, it's just 20 for Silksong. It's 45 for Expedition 33, right? And Rising Tide brings up all ships, is like how that is. And it is crazy. Crazy.
How do you not see that their intent is to make sure that they're not gatekeeping their audience based on the price of the game?
Yes.
That's the reason why the game has regional pricing in some areas. It's like $10 to $2 in some countries. It's not generosity, it's smart business. The more people that have access to the game, the bigger the audience you have for it, the more people that are talking about it, the more people then come and buy the game, and then so on and so on. These guys don't even understand how business works.
Exactly.
This industry has become so self-obsessed and so narcissistic that we don't even register to them anymore. We're not even a part of the conversation. We aren't even acknowledged until one of the guys steps forward and says, well, I understand wanting to be pro-consumer, but this must be infuriating for your peers. Yeah, probably, because they're losing. That's competition. Iron sharpens iron.
Real shit. Real shit, man. Holy fuck. Yo, real bars. God.
Consumer, but this must be infuriating for your peers. Yeah, probably, because they're losing. That's competition. Iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
Team Cherry does not make the industry better by building a pillow fort. They do it by leading by example, and we need more of that in this industry.
Yep.
Why aren't you celebrating this game? They kept their stakes low in development. They kept their budget low. They took their time. They optimized the game. They finished it, and then they sold it for a fair price. It is none of your business what they do. None. You have no say in it. And you should.
Nobody does. Let people price their passion projects at what they want to. Like, they made the damn game. Why are we judging them for what they're valuing their game at?
Shouldn't be Karen finger wagging at them for being fair in the first place. If these customers see the quality of this game and the price of that game, and they say, this is the standard now, you jump. You don't have a choice in that. People keep trying to treat this like it's just an art. These are consumer products.
Sam Ward, have a fantastic day at class. Thanks for stopping by.
What are you guys doing?
Cheers.
If customers are going to look at this game, they're going to treat it the exact same way as they did Baldur's Gate 3. Anytime there is a conversation around a AAA game.
Bro, Baldur's Gate 3 was another one. That was another one. That was a $60 game that or was it 70? That could have been priced at much higher with the amount of content that was in that game.
That failed to meet expectations, that was poorly positioned or poorly priced. Baldur's Gate 3 gets dragged into that conversation. If you fail, that is your fault. The customers have made their place clear.
Yep, facts.
That's the thing that frustrates me the most with this, though, is because this entire conversation, these people are just so desperate to be a victim that they don't even realize that their villain is actually the hero. I think
Yep.
it's genuinely sad to see how so many people are fixated on how something can hurt them that they never stop to consider how it might actually benefit them. Take the price, for example. So many of these developers are panicked over a standard that a $20 Silksong sets, but they never stop to acknowledge the upside of it. By charging $20, Team Cherry has now made it possible for players to actually afford other games too. If Silksong had launched at a higher price, especially in the middle of a global cost of living crisis, players probably still would have bought it, but it likely would have been the only game that they bought that month. That's why we see so many of these AAA launches cannibalize each other. When three or four $70 titles hit in the same window, sales are muted across the board, not because players don't care, but because $210 or $280 in a single month is simply out of the reach for most.
And you know what's going to happen with this, right? The ripple effects of this is the exact same thing that happened with content creators and YouTubers, which a lot of bad came out of it, but a lot of good came out of that, right? And it is, guys, do you remember back in the day in like the 60s and the 80s, and you wanted to be a musician? You wanted to be an artist with massive success, right? Or even just having it as a career. You don't even need to be massive. 9 times out of 10, if you wanted to be a successful artist or a musician or any type of creative, you needed to be in a record label. You had to be signed with a publishing company. You know what I mean? Like, and if you didn't have that, you weren't going to be big. Because they would outmarket you 9 times out of 10. They would squeeze you out of the industry, and easy access to your new song that you made from your bedroom wasn't possible, right? So what happened when the internet came out and everyone had access to it and anyone could upload a video, anyone could upload a TikTok, anyone could upload a tweet with showcasing a new, I don't know, some new bars you wrote or a new verse that you created or a chord progression that you were proud of, or maybe this new really cute indie game that you created, or perhaps a project that was in the works and you just needed some support. What happened is it became more accessible. And when it became more accessible and people found massive success, we now shifted from an industry where you want to find success as a musician, an independent musician, maybe as an independent content creator or a streamer. Guess what? You don't have to be in a record label company anymore. You don't have to be with the publisher. You don't have to be owned by a corpo, right? Because now you got people like BB No Money, who's absolutely blowing up. And I barely know anything about the guy, but he's absolutely blowing up as a musician just through TikTok marketing that he did off of his phone. You know what I mean? You got content creators and YouTubers making content from their bedroom. Shit, I remember making videos for 3 years without making a single penny. And then one day I woke up to thousands of fucking comments on my phone and seeing I went from 200 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers overnight. And I was like, bro, what the fuck? Wait, I have a career just like that, you know? And because of that, oh, wow, you actually said his name right? Oh, I'm sorry, Bibino $, my fault. Because of that, it's made it so that I don't need to rely on these corporations to control what I can and can't do, which means we get more genuine and authentic content that gets released, right? It means when Team Cherry releases Silksong at $20 and it sells millions of copies, and Expedition 33, a team of a Reddit writer, a song composer off of SoundCloud, and a dev team of 33 devs and their fucking dog can make a banger of a game for $45, right? And blow the fuck up and sell millions of copies that beat out AAA, studios that have 6,000 of employees. Instead of you thinking, oh shit, this is gonna fuck everything over in the game industry and it's gonna bring the prices down. No, it's not. Actually, what's going to happen is more and more people are gonna realize they can make bangers on their own without needing a rich millionaire to control and dictate everything that they do. Like that's what that means. This is a good thing. It's gonna normalize the industry and provide more access for more passionate people like Team Cherry to release the next banger $20 indie game that are gonna forge friendships for people and communities. But that's the thing. It scares the people up top. it scares the corpos. It scares the suit and ties and the legal teams and the finance teams that make everyone go hush hush and not be able to talk about what's really happening behind the scenes, and that's terrifying. So they're doing everything that they can to slander Silksong so
Living
that
crisis.
it doesn't continue to happen and they can remain in control and control the narrative. And they do this by creating these fake news headlines to divide and conquer the gaming community.
Players probably still would have bought it, but it likely would have been the only game that they bought that month. That's why we see so many of these AAA launches cannibalize each other. When 3 or 4 $70 titles hit in the same window, sales are muted across the board, not because players don't care, but because $210 or $280 in a single month is simply out of the reach for most people. I don't understand how these companies don't realize that pricing your games fairly, keeping them affordable, you're not just selling your own games, you're also keeping the entire ecosystem alive. You're giving players the freedom to be able to pick up Silksong and another indie title, or Silksong and a big AAA release, instead of forcing them into these one or the other decisions. That's creating more momentum, more conversation, and more sales that are happening in rapid succession across the entire industry. The minute that you push that price higher, you change how people are buying things. Suddenly, it's not an impulse anymore, it's a debate. Do I buy now? Do I wait? Do I skip it entirely? That hesitation kills momentum. It slows everything down, and it's not just bad for the players, it's bad for every developer. Beyond that, and I've said this many times before, pricing is a service issue. If the game is in high demand, but the service is poor and the games are overpriced, players are going to find another way to get what they want, and that includes piracy. People do not pirate games because they hate games. They pirate games because they feel shut off from them. When a game...
Preach. And I'm going to be real with you. I'm not a fan of piracy. I'm going to be honest. I'm not. Right? But there's a reason why they're pirating. That's the facts. I'm not a fan of piracy. Pay artists and creators what they're worth is my belief, right? But there's a reason why they're pirating. There's a reason why they're pirating. Has anyone ever stopped to consider, like, we have, but not the corpos and the suit and ties, right? Like, there's a reason why, because they don't have the means to be able to enjoy it.
Game is inaccessible either through price or distribution. Players are going to go around the wall that's been put up in front of them. Team Cherry didn't build a wall. They did the opposite. By making that game as well crafted as it is and pricing it fairly, they managed to do something insane. They inspired the piracy community to not pirate the game. On top of that, these major pirate sites and forums are actively urging other players to support the actual release. Imagine that, a community that is built around circumventing payment that is now telling its own members to put money down. That is how you know a developer has earned respect. I mean, how is it that not a single one of these developers is talking about all of the benefits from this? The price, the effective shadow drop release, one of the most anticipated games in the history of the industry, and instead of them celebrating it and how it's lifted up the entire indie scene, all they're doing is complaining. Do they not realize that Silksong's launch just put more eyes on indie games, almost more than anything before it? Silksong itself is a tight, healthy 15-hour experience. After riding that high, players are going to go looking for more. That's how it works. I know because it happened to me. Terraria was my gateway drug into indies. I dumped hundreds of hours into it, and when I was done, the first thing that I did was go hunting for more. I tried nearly every survival crafting indie that I could get my hands on. The same thing with Hades. When I found roguelikes, I played it, I loved it, and then I went and immediately grabbed Risk of Rain 2, then Dead Cells, then Slay the Spire. The popularity and the price of those games pulled me deeper and deeper into the scene, and after that, I was hooked. Now indies take up the majority of my playtime. And I would bet good money that that exact same thing is happening right now. Thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of new players that are experiencing Silksong as their first indie game, and when they're done with it, they're likely going to be hungry for more. That's not a threat to the indie scene. That is lifeblood. That is new play.
Yeah, because I want to be real with you, chat. I don't play indies. I know nothing about them. I'm learning through Hollow Knight and all the success that Silksong has had. That's a good thing, because now I'm making a video about it, and then like maybe there's another person out there that's like, oh shit, like this does actually look cool. Let me try it out. Like that's a good thing. That's gonna increase the overall sales of the entire fucking industry. You know what I mean? It's like I was a huge ass hater for visual novel free-to-play mobile games back in the day. And I love visual novels, but like I thought they were basic as all hell and that they weren't good. That was my initial impression until I tried out my first one way back when. And then I'm like, oh shit, wait, There's actual bangers out there. But I wouldn't have known that if it wasn't for like all the news that was breaking out of all these people playing it and making that more accessible, you know? Now look at me. I'm addicted to every single gacha game that comes out.
Players being funneled straight into it. This is one of the most hyped indie launches ever. I don't think we've seen anticipation on this level for an independent game like this before. And the best part is its release and its price point just guarantee that momentum is going to continue to spread, just like Expedition 33, just like Schedule 1, Repo, and Peak. Silksong is not stealing oxygen from the indie scene. It's just pumping more of it in. It's renewing interest, it's expanding awareness, and it's broadening the audience.
And things like this changes the industry. That's why we've seen for the first time ever, we had a gacha game that was like about to release. And they were like, you know what? I think we're fucking up. I think we're straying away from our vision. These gamers are don't want, you know, things to be behind a RNG system 24/7 all the time. It should be a little more accessible. And then they got rid of the whole gacha mechanic. Duet Night Abyss. The game was supposed to be a gacha game on release, and then they were like, you know what? No, let's just make every character right away playable and free for anyone to begin an attempt to unlock once the game's out for free. And I don't know if that game is going to be good. I hope it is, because if that game does bad, then it's going to be a bad look for other games that try to do the same. But my point with that is like, there's a reason why they did it. They did it because they believe in the goodwill of gamers, realizing that they'll support good games, regardless of whether or not it's a high price tag or not.
Developers need to be more thankful of the noise that Silksong is making, and they should be even more thankful that it's priced in a way that everybody can join in. But I think the one thing that they should be the most thankful about is the kind of message that this game is sending to the rest of the industry. Eurogamer reported on an interview with Team Cherry in an article titled, "No, Silksong hasn't been in development hell. Hype skyrocketed the sales of the original game to give Cherry financial freedom. It's nice to make fun things."
Yeah.
Ed Nightingale, commenting on Hollow Knight's original success, writes, "That 12 million rise in sales of the original Hollow Knight is extraordinary. Somehow, Team Cherry inadvertently created the ultimate hype machine. Hype for the sequel led to sales for the original, which meant that they could take longer in development, which then fed the hype even more due to Silence, which then became a meme, which then meant it could take even longer. We're lucky in that regard," said Gibson. "I don't think we ever thought about it that much. Maybe that's a privilege of it."
Right.
No strict deadlines and a flood of financial income meant that Team Cherry could take its time. It is in stark contrast to so many studios that at the moment are hell-bent on chasing trends and generating cash in the face of rising development costs, which has inevitably resulted in mass layoffs across the industry in the last couple of years. By contrast, Team Cherry has remained lean. What's more, it spent the past 7 years enjoying development. "We've been having fun," said Gibson. "The whole thing is just a vehicle for our creativity. It's nice to make fun things." "We're very fortunate that we have a development method that is so enjoyable," Gibson continued. "Not exactly sure how we stumbled into that. Everything comes together so quickly. You can see results fast. Ideas turn into something that exists in a game almost immediately before your eyes. That's very satisfying, and it allows you to go off on these tangents and meet weird characters because someone offhandedly mentioned a weird character as an idea and the other person laughed, and that was enough."
I fucking love that. Yo, that's great. Someone mentioned a weird character as an idea, the other person laughed, and boom, that's enough. Yo, that's fucking sick. They were just goofing off and having a good time, man.
"You're always working on a new idea, new item, new area, new boss," added co-founder William Pellin. "That stuff's so nice. It's just for the sake of completing the game that we're stopping. We could have kept going."
Real.
Add to that a desire for exceptional polish, and it's easy to see how development could have continued even longer. "I think we're always underestimating the amount of time and effort it'll take for us to achieve things," said Gibson. "It's also the problem where, because we're having so much fun doing it, it's not like it's taking longer, this is awful, we really need to get past this phase. It's that this is a very enjoyable space to be in. Let's perpetuate this with some new ideas." Now, while everyone, even this article, wants to frame Team Cherry's position as some kind of privilege that's handed down by Hollow Knight, I think it's more important to just pay attention to their actual words. They were already developing Silksong.
Okay, the little glide with the You know what I mean? The cloth is so fucking cool.
They were already enjoying themselves. Yes, Hollow Knight's runaway success gave them more financial freedom, but this game was happening either way. They budgeted themselves. They stayed small. They never put themselves in a position where they
Yeah, the floaty dress, that's so sick.
had to churn out a sequel. This was not $180 million stretched over 7 years with an army of 300 developers. This was 3 developers, a couple of localizers, some QA, and a small porting team. Their biggest motivator wasn't a milestone or a publisher's deadline or a shareholder's call. It was just the fact that they were having fun making a game. That's why it took 7 years. But that's why the game is so good. They took the time because they could and because they wanted to.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of voices in the industry are going to say the gamers don't understand how the money works, and it isn't fair to hold anyone to Team Cherry standards. But the standard they've set is not some impossible benchmark. The message they've sent is simple. Let the developers cook. Give them time. Keep these teams small to make them nimble. Keep their budgets lean so that they're sustainable, and then trust
That, but they don't want that. That's the part. That's the secret. They don't want to keep the team small, because if they keep the team small, they don't have an excuse to keep the budgets big to their shareholders, right? Which means the people at top can't pocket the money that they want to pocket. That's the thing. They don't want the development to be nimble because they want to be able to have enough control to put in their own thing into the game that is not what the devs want to put in. Like that, they don't like the idea of letting go of control. They don't want to let them cook. When we should be letting them cook, let them cook, bro.
keep these teams small to make them nimble. Keep their budgets lean so that they're sustainable, and then trust that when the game comes out, if it's good, the players are going to be there.
Yep.
And if you think publishers and venture capitalists aren't paying attention, you're kidding yourself. Every single one of these success stories forces them to rethink how they're budgeting their projects, how they're funding these teams, and how they're burning through so much money. Because the more examples of these small, sustainable indie teams that are producing these global hits, the harder it is for these guys to defend their bloated, unsustainable development models that are only leading to more layoffs. Look at some of the indie success stories that we've seen over the past decade. Not a single one of these guys are defined by crunch or pressure from their publisher or issues with their publisher. They're defined by passion, by the love of the game, by the love of the players. And if those success stories keep piling up, they're going to set an example that the rest of the industry cannot ignore.
Yep.
And I think that's what Silksong really is. It's just proof that the joy of creation can outlast money, deadlines, and hype. Proof that the players will always show up if the work is actually honest. Proof that the relationship that matters the most is the one that's between the developer and the player.
Yes.
I think that that's been the most common through line when it comes to a lot of these indie successes, is that these guys really are just working on the game that they actually want to make. Like, they love what they're making and they're having so much fun doing it. And more times than not, they are given or giving themselves the time to be able to cook. Yep. And if I was an indie studio or developer that was working under a VC or a small publisher or whatever it might be, I would want Silksong to succeed, because I would want that story written all over the place, because it's written in the language that these guys understand, which is money. Because if they start connecting the dots and looking at some of these games and saying, well, hey, if we give these guys the right amount of people on their team, we keep their team small, we give them the right amount of money, we give them the right amount of resources, we have a higher chance of success.
Yep.
If they start looking at pricing and saying, hey, it looks like some of these games, if they're fairly priced, are actually leading to more sales and more money overall, because, well, more people are buying it, more people are talking about it, which then leads to more people buying it. But then all of a sudden, we just see a more fair industry across the board for just about everybody.
Yep.
And we could actually start seeing some genuine positive change in the industry.
Yep.
That's why I make these videos. That's the message that I'm trying to send when I make them. That's the entire purpose.
The greatest example, again, is like, let's talk about the game journalists that we're also fed up and tired of. Back in the day, that's all we had. Whether we liked it or not, there were some Game Informer magazines you were a fan of. There were other ones that you weren't, you know? Like, now, we don't just have Game Informer. Now we don't have, like, let's be real. Most of us in my community, I know, don't read the journalist reviews. You read other gamer reviews about what gamers are talking about up on YouTube and in community threads. Am I right? Or am I wrong? Let me know in the chat right here on stream. Right? I know for a fact most of you don't be basing all your reviews off of what journalists say, right? And this isn't a dig at journalists. That's not what I'm trying to say, right? That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is the accessibility of the internet and YouTube has made it so that so many people can give their proper review. Versus before, there was an over reliance on just journalists, right? So, because of that, now we have more people that all have more opportunities that used to be restricted by nepotism and people, having the benefit of the doubt to be able to get in with this one company. And that's the only way that we would get any type of news. That is a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing when something gets normalized and there's more ease of access to anything rather than something being gatekept.
I want a more fair environment for developers, and I want better games for players.
That's the core. Because thanks to Silksong and thanks to Expedition 33, and if we continue to support devs that do things like this, we will see a shift in the devs that become...
Purpose. I want a more fair environment for developers, and I want better games for players.
A more fair environment for developers and better games for the players.
And I think that those two things are the same. That's what I want. I think that these guys completely underestimate the conversation on pricing. Like, they are so detached from reality when they're talking about it, especially when they're talking about the prices of their games in comparison to Silksong.
and let's flip the script. Let's look at someone that's not having fair pricing and going crazy with it. Nintendo. I'm probably get killed for this. Nintendo. I say jokingly, kind of. Nintendo suing Pal World just because Pal World has a capturing mechanic of Pokemon or creatures, a game mechanic, but because they wanted to patent it and make it exclusive to only Nintendo, that's why they want to sue them. And now they're trying to patent the fucking ability to capture out any type of little Pokemon or individual, right? That is awful. That stifles innovation. And the reason why is because they used to have a monopoly on game development back in the day, which allowed them to get away with having practices like this.
I mean, we just
never forget the Nemesis system and the damage that its patent did to games and the patent holders. Exactly.
Had Metal Gear.
Shadows of Mordor.
We just had Helldivers 2's update. We just had Path of Exile's update. I wrote down a list here. Borderlands 4, Dying Light, Silent Hill, Final Fantasy Tactics, Ghost of Yotei, Battlefield 6, Pokemon. These are all games that are coming out in weeks or within a month. People do not have the kind of money or time to be buying all of these games. And in a lot of cases, I mean, most of the people that are probably watching this video right now, they only heard maybe one name that they know that they're going to buy. Maybe two in some cases. Outside of that, probably not many more. Yep. That's the reason why this game is doing so well. That's why it's so successful, is because Team Cherry picked the right price with the right quality, and they just made their game insanely successful in the busiest release schedule and the busiest window of the entire year.
Yep.
That's why they price their game like that. It's called strategy. Professional victims. This industry is in dire need of better leadership, and more than anything, it needs tough love. There are far too many people that are ready and waiting to wipe their tears away. And all it is that the players are the ones that are suffering as a result of it.
Yep.
We're getting worse games, and we're paying more for them.
Yep.
That has to change.
Yep.
I don't know how many times I have to say it. We are the only thing that you need to be thinking about. Nothing else matters.
Yep.
That's how you make money.
Yep.
Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making it. I can't wait to go play more Hollow Knight. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share.
Please make sure to go subscribe to Legendary Drops. I know nothing about the guy. I'm gonna be honest with you, but from the two videos, or the one video that I've seen of the dude, bro, the scripts are fantastic. They're absolutely amazing, and they provide a lot of discussion in an industry that should have more discussion. And I think that's great. I really appreciate y'all recommending this video and the other Legendary Drops video we saw, Warframe is a Wake-Up Call. That was an absolute banger. If there's other videos, whether it's from Legendary Drops or just in general that you'd like for us to check out, let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and make sure to go check out Legendary Drops videos for more videos like this as well. And I will see y'all soon. Let me know what you think about Silksong. Was it worth the $20? There's no way it wasn't worth the $20, but how many players there were. But was it worth the $20? Geek out about it. Let me go in fucking detail. Be a nerd. And let me know why you like the game so much in the comments below. And I'm going to be real with you. I didn't realize that Hollow Knight was initially funded by the fans. Like, I knew they had support from the fans. I didn't realize that its initial funding came from the fans. That alone got me curious. We're going to do a playthrough of Hollow Knight for sure. I don't know when, but we will do one. Stay tuned. Leave a like if you like that and subscribe if you're looking forward to a Hollow Knight playthrough. And yeah, I'll see y'all soon. Love the heck out of y'all, YouTube. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Until next time, be unreal. And have fun, man. And at the end of the day, look, if you disagree with anything that we said, that's okay. Bro, we're gamers. It's not that deep. This is our space to like nerd out about shit that we're excited about, or, you know, give feedback for different games to improve because we want to see the games improve. And it's okay if we disagree on that. That's okay. We can agree to disagree. You know, we're just a bunch of nerds trying to have a good time and have a great space to vibe to get away from all the fucking craziness and madness in the world. So until next time, love the heck out of y'all. Adios.